Hello everyone, this is the Ink Matrix, and today it's my first video ever, and what better way to start it off than to introduce you to my entire book collection. I've been collecting books since I was like 4, 5, and I've read almost all of these, and I really do love them. So I'll be taking you through only mine, this section, mine, and the bottom half of this cupboard, and not going through my sisters or my brothers just because they're not my books. So first off, if you enjoy the type of videos I'm gonna do, just remember to tap that subscribe button, and yeah, let's get straight into it. So first off, we're going to take all these books out and onto the floor so we can go through each of them, and I'll be reshuffling them and then putting it back in its place properly. Alright, let's get to it. Okay, we're gonna start off with these books, which are I guess they're already pretty well kept. So these are the Phantom Stallions books, and I really loved these when I was like 10, I think, and they're about horses that can communicate with humans and stuff. And then Brown Jag, Voyage of Slaves. I don't think I've read that one yet, so maybe I'll read it, maybe I'll not. And then this one was pretty good. I forgot most of the story, but I read it when I was like 11, maybe? Yeah, don't really remember. And then this one was the English book for my year 8 course, I think. Year 7 or year 8 course. And I was 13. And then this is Tiger, and it was one of my favorite books. And then I moved on, but it's still really cool. It's about some girl, and she's like the princess of something, and she has a pet tiger. So that was pretty cool. And then well, you can't see much. But these are the Guardians of Ga'Hoole series, and these were by Catherine Lasky, and I think I read it when I was 8 and stuff. And one of these books, the 8th one, I think, I lost it, and it was the only book I've ever lost in my life, and I was so upset when I lost it. So yeah, if you guys have the 8th book, just send me. Just email me. I really want to get it back. And then this one's Jinx on the Divide. It's about a boy and a girl who get stuck or something. Don't really remember, but it was good. And then these are the Warrior series, like cats who sort of talk to each other and have really... the world building in here is like awesome. I swear I love these. Alright, and then the Wind Tamer, which is that one, I think. No, Wave Traveler. Yeah, same author, but a good book also. Thomas True. I can't speak. Thomas True is I only have these 3 books, but they were all really good, and I really want to read it again, but no time. And then these ones when I was 8 or 9 as well, so that was really good. And then Ravenwood is you can't see it. Okay, so Ravenwood is a really good book. I don't remember half of it, but I do remember getting really inspired to oh boy. Alright. I remember getting really inspired to hop around on trees or something. So yeah. So this one was pretty good. And then we go down here to Gulfstruck Island, and it's sort of I don't really remember. I remember I read it back when I was like 11-ish, 12-ish, and then never picked it up again. But it was very magical and very nice. Everlost and Everwild, I've never read these. I bought them because they look good, but then I lost interest. Anne of Green Gables. I have an English teacher I had an English teacher back in year 9, and then he became our form teacher, and he really loved to recommend us books, and he recommended Anne of Green Gables to me, and that's when I discovered Anne. And yeah, I mean, like, I love these. Like, she's just the perfect example of a childhood life that you want, like, even though it's pain and all that, but it's good. And then Beast Quest, when I was 10, I think, my older cousin introduced me to these books, and I was hooked. And I do have more of these, but not sure where they went. It might be somewhere in here, right? Okay, moving on to this pile. Alright, let's start with this pile. And these are kind of like the childish books, I guess. And then let's just turn it there. Chicken Soup for the Soul, and then Double Twist, which is this really good book, I guess, on figure skating. And then Riding High is about same kind of premise but with riding. And then there we go, more Warriors books, same as the this is the first book in the series, I think, as the Warriors one over there. These ones, I just gotta put it right there along with okay. And the Promise of the Unicorn, this was my favorite book back in when I was like eight I think, and I read this from cover to cover like so many times, and I don't think it's in print anymore, but yeah, I really like this. And then you've got this saga, I guess you can't call it a trilogy because it's 4 books. Anyway, so Closer, Free Fall, Terminal, and Deeper. And I love these. Like, they just opened up such a great like world to imagine. And then I read the first book, I think, I forgot which one it was, but then I read one of these like 4 or 5 times, and then the other ones I read like once or twice. But it was really, really good. I'm not sure where you can buy these anymore, but yeah, I guess you could find them online if you want to try it out. Merlin Conspiracy, I had a like a teacher who taught me Malay back when I was 11, and he got me this book as like the class's end of year present, and then he gave everyone a book, and this was the book he gave me, and it was nice, but then I only read like the first few pages, and then I forgot about it completely. I might have read the whole thing, I don't remember, because I remember this pattern, right? Like, it's really simple, and then it becomes more and more complex as the book moves along. So let's see. Okay, so that, like, this is just like some weird stuff, you don't even know what it is, right? But then at the end of the book, it becomes really, really intricate. Look at that. Yeah, so it, I guess I read everything, if I can remember that. Once is a compilation of rewritten stories of princesses, and this was really good. This was really good. I read this twice, maybe. And then Before Midnight is, you know, Golden is Goldilocks, and then Wild Orchid is Mulan, I think. Okay, Before Midnight was Cinderella, and then you have all these great stories, and yeah, I guess I love them a lot. Okay, and then Philippa Gregory's like the Queen stuff, I guess this is really good. This is it was kind of like the first adult thing I read when I was 12, and yeah, it just sort of like opened up a whole new avenue for me to read like all these kind of books, more historical but also pretty teen ficky here. So next we have The Warlock, Michael Scott. I know that a lot, Nicholas Flamel, yeah, you know, the whole universe and stuff, but I've never actually read this one. I should read it. And then the Rook trilogy, it was way too thick for me to consider at the time I bought it, so I'm just gonna put that aside even now. And Winterwood, Magical, I love these. There was one more book, I forgot where I put it, but it's somewhere here, and it's just great. like, I don't know how to explain, like, it's for my mind back then, like, it was just magical and like so dark as well at sometimes, and then I really love this. I wish I could read it again, but I got so many other books to read. And then Shadows Cast by Stars, Knuckleson, Catherine Knudsen, yeah, and this one wasn't as dark, I guess, as Winterwood, but it was still the same kind of magical thing, and then like ravens with spirit animals and stuff like that. So yeah, I would totally recommend this, but I'm not sure if it's in print. And then this one was my year 8 English book, and I did read it, and it was really good actually. They made a movie about it, I think, and then my sister watched that for her English class back in when she was in year 6, like last year. And then yeah, and it was really good. We did like studies on it, and like we wrote essays on it. Yeah, don't know what else to say. It was pretty good. And then Peter and the Starcatchers, Peter and the Shadow Thieves, and then Peter and the Secret of Randoon. This was good. I read this when I was I think 10 or 9 or 10, I forgot, but it's around the same time I got the Percy Jackson series. I think I got Percy Jackson and these 3 books together at the bookstore, and then I was so excited, I swear. Like, the covers themselves look so good already. So yeah, I really love these, and I had like dreams about flying around and like doing magical stuff, and yes, that's all I can say. Okay, moving on to the Chronicles of Ancient Darkness, and these ones were very, you know that type of thing when you're young and then you kind of feel like you run around being all kind of like natives and like hunting animals and doing things out of the earth, and then you feel very connected to nature. Yeah, these ones kind of made me feel like that. And then the omnibus I read like 3 times over, and then these books, which is the 4th and 6th or something like that. I don't have the 5th book, and it hurt me, but it's alright. I mean, like, these are like 6 books altogether. These have 3 books in them, so I have 5 out of 6, which is I guess enough. And then you have this stack of books, and I haven't read Diary of a Young Girl. I haven't, haha. And then I did read this one, Jason and the Golden Fleece. He's like kind of a show-offy boy, but I mean, we all love him anyway. And then Mental Fight by Ben Okri, a collection of poems, I think. Yeah, I read this once and then left it aside because I wasn't really into poems. Now I am. Not back then. Four Short Plays, I guess they're normal, like Richard stuff-ish, something. And then Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe, I think. I only know him because he wrote that thing on Heart of Darkness, but then I'm not sure what these are, so I'll read them later. And then this one is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. But then I don't read this because I actually have the actual book, so I read that instead. Great Expectations, same, I do have the actual book, so I'll read that later. Magic Slippers, I don't know what these are. And then these are all the books that are like classics but kind of abridged versions for little kids. And I read all of these, before I could read the actual books. And then I got so cut because like they cut out so much, and then I spoiled it for myself with these books. So I don't know what I was thinking. I was like 9, and then I was like, I should spoil everything for myself. And then I read the real books, and I was like, I should have read the real books first, you know. So all these, David Copperfield, The Coral Island, that was really nice. I like that one. Around the World in Around the World in 80 Days, Oliver Twist, we like that. Great Expectations, Treasure Island, King Solomon's Mines. That was scary back then, but I'm sure it's good now. Tom Sawyer is pretty good. And like, I like the Rush song as well, Tom Sawyer, haha. What a nerd. Anyway, So this one is Deborah Mailer, The Bookstore. It's really adult-ish, but I read this when I was like 12, and I got so scarred by all the the racy scenes in there. So I still liked it though. And Dewey is a really good book. I don't know how to say it. It's not good, but then it's good. But the proper way to describe it should be like warm and stuff. And I genuinely cried at the end. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he was the small town library cat who touched the world. I mean, he touched my heart, so that's one person touched. Jane Eyre. Okay, so this is an abridged version. I have like 2 more copies of the same exact book. I don't know why, but then this I love Jane Eyre. It's my favorite, one of like my favorite classic novel, I guess, and I'll do another video on it later on, but just saying, Jane Eyre is one of my favorite books ever. And like, I have a lot of things by Charlotte Bronte, but Jane Eyre is still my favorite. Like, I like Villette as well, Villette if you want to be French, but then yeah, yeah, that one's the best. And I don't know what this is, so I'm just gonna put it aside with all the books I don't read. And then Nicholas Flamel again, The Enchantress. I haven't read this either, so I'm gonna read that later. Okay, Nick Drake, Egypt, Book of Chaos. I haven't read this. Looks interesting, but it's probably like, I'm too old for this. I mean, like, you're never too old to read a book, of course, but I just don't feel like it's in my I just don't feel like it's in my radar, on my radar. Reader's Digest, I'm not gonna go through them because it's just stuff. And then we've got Jenny Colgan and the Loveliest Chocolate Shop in Paris. I read this when I was 12, I think 12, I think 13, maybe 14. Nah, it would have been either 12 or 13. And then it was nice. It was sweet. There were a lot of racy scenes, but then, you know, they were pretty sweet, so I could read them. And then this one, I didn't finish it. I started it and then I didn't finish it, which was really annoying because I wanted to like it, but then it was too boring. So put it aside. Ben-Hur. Yeah, I never read it. It's alright. I don't feel too hurt about that. And All the Earth Thrown to the Sky. I think I read this when I was going through my grade 8 piano exam, I think, when I was 13, and then I only finished it a year later because it was quite boring. But then, I mean, it's a social commentary on like the Great Depression and stuff. So I think, yeah, I enjoyed this, but it had to be, you had to sit down and like fully commit yourself to reading this and thinking about it, because yeah, it was a hard read for me back when I was 13. And then you've got chick novels, How to Love. I've never finished this, I'm so sorry, but then I'm not into romance novels as much. I mean, I like them, but specifically this one, I didn't really read it that much. And then The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks. This is my only book by Nicholas Sparks, and it's honestly really good. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I mean, it might have been overhyped, but for me it was so sweet. I really liked it. And for me, back when I was like a very like chaste young small kid, yeah, it was like fiery and exciting and yeah. Okay, and then next we have the Fairy series from I believe what do you call that, Peter Pan. And then this is just Tinkerbell and her friends, I think. Yeah, yeah, these were really good. Like, they were part of my childhood. I can't say they're like perfectly written, but they were still really interesting. Leave them there. And then we have Jeffrey Archer's books. So I have a few of these, not that many. My favorite probably would be this one. I don't remember too much about it, but then, like, you know, they kind of blur into each other. This one was really good. This one was my mom's, and then she lent it to me, and I just kept it forever, so I guess it's good. And then A Quiver Full of Arrows. Some of these short stories double up with each other. So these ones, this is a huge collection of his short stories, and then this one's a smaller one, and then some of them double up, I think. But they're all really good. I don't particularly remember every single one, but I do remember how they make me feel, and I guess, yeah, that's the best thing about books. They just make you feel something. Okay, so let's put them back. And then I take out another stack. I'm not gonna move these because these books are really volatile. There are books behind there, and if I take these out, the books behind will kind of fall over. So let's just do it from here. This is Romeo and Juliet, I think, yes. And that was year 9 English course. And then this is The Truth About the Harry Corbett Affair, which they recently made a series or a movie or something. I don't particularly remember, but this was really nice. Like one of the thriller mystery kind of stuff that I actually read and I liked back when I was 13, I think. And then yeah, it really stuck to me. I still have this bookmark stuck in there. This is BFG, Rodal favorite, like his kid books as well as his adult short stories. Like I like Skin a lot, and that royal jelly honey thing, and then Henry Sugar was also one of my favorites. So this is 100% Wolf. I did love this. I read this like 3 times, I think, and yeah, it was really really interesting. Like this kid turns into a wolf. His whole family is supposed to turn into wolves, but then he turns into a what do you call that, poodle, and it really embarrasses everyone. So Anne of Green Gables again. I don't know why I have 2 copies. Never mind. Room. They made a motion picture. Obviously, they made a movie out of this, but you know that feeling like you read it before it became famous? Yeah, this was it. Like, I read this before it became famous, but even though it does say, like, bookseller and, like, all these things here. But then, yeah, no really knew about it back then, so I got it, I read it, and then I bought this novel. I bought this copy. So, Aragon, yes. In the Inheritance Saga, I just love these. I've read this, like, this book I've read 5 times over, and you have no idea. Every time I finish a year, like every year until I was 15, I read this over and over again, the whole thing. And this one was my first one. I read this one first, the 3rd book of the series, and this is the 4th one. And then I read this like twice before I started on the rest. And then I read this. I read this one. I read this one, and then I read Elvis. I don't know where it is. Okay, it's here. So it goes like, ugh, help me. Right, like this. So it's in this order, and I read it like 1, and then 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, they're my favorite. Like, Christopher Paolini was my favorite author for about 5 years. Legit, no kidding. I like Percy Jackson, couldn't beat it. So I did love these for a very long time, and I don't think I will stop loving them. I'm planning to reread them soon, but yeah, they're just a bit too much when I have so many other books lined up on my reading list. And then Percy Jackson, I bought it together with the Peter and the Starcatchers series. And this, wow, okay, so I owe all my knowledge of Greek mythology to this, and like Riordan, he's just, yeah, he knows how to pull all your teenage strings, and like the universe has stayed with me until today. And every time I see Percy and Annabeth, like Percabeth fan art, I just like curl inside myself and then feel like this is beautiful. Yeah, no, I do love these. I also have his the other 5 books, I guess. The other 5 books. I waited so long for these, but I waited so long for this one. This one is the last of everything, and I waited 2 years after this came out because I didn't have like I couldn't buy it because it was too expensive. So I got this 2 years after it came out, and then I kept myself from all the spoilers until then. So this was my when I graduated from my old high school and moved to my new high school, my mom bought this as a present. So yeah, no, I really love this series. And then the Throne of Fire and the Serpent's Shadow, Red Pyramid, Sadie and Kane, I think. Yeah, the Kane Chronicles. I remember now. Yeah, these were really good as well because I was really into Egyptian mythology. And then yeah, favorite books for about 6 months. And that's all I think for this cupboard. It's a really small cupboard, but it contains like some of my favorites. And then this one is just a filler. This is too long, way too long, and I just gave up like 4 pages into it. Okay, moving on to the next cupboard. Okay, coming up to my top shelf at the moment, like yeah, everything else. Top shelf. This is, wait, let me get in a better position. Hold a sec. Right, so Artemis Fowl, cleverest person since Sherlock, and I do love him. This was like 10 to 13 years old, like 9 to 13 years old kind of books, and like yeah, I just fell in love with these, and this one, my gosh, like seriously. And then I do have one, like I do have the entire series. I'm just not sure where all the other books went. There are like 2 more, I think. And then obviously, who hasn't read it? And then the host, Stephanie Meyer. I don't read her Twilight series just because I'm not interested in it. It's not like it's bad or anything. I don't think it's bad. It's just not interesting. But the host was really good. I mean, like Melanie, I had a crush on her for like 6 months. Anyway, Monster Mission, and this was good. Like I've read this 4 or 5 times, and I got this when I was 8, and I just read it over and over again because it's so good. Because it's about this not how many people, but kids who go to an island and like learn how to feed all these weird things. I guess you could call it like a pre-Rowling Fantastic Beasts sort of thing. Yeah, pretty good. This one I haven't read. I just didn't find it interesting enough. Ted Dekker, too demonic to read, and I was like, yeah, I'm not against demonic stuff, but just this one was a bit too much, so I didn't read that. I haven't read this. This is my trusty Rubik's Cube. Like it doesn't look that old, but I've played with this way too much, and yeah, it just doesn't move nice now. It like you can't turn it without having like, let me show you, like no, I can't even. Yeah, nah, never mind. Let's just leave it there. And then we come down here, and you have Infectious Greed, which I haven't read. Frank Partnoy, I think, and Ken Follett. I haven't read these 2, but I've read this one, and it's really, the thing is like it's really long, but it's so worth it because it just the world like it's about this like an intertwining of stories and stuff, and it's very tense, and then every time you think something goes right, it goes wrong, and then you're like, no. Okay, and then Stephen King, Just After Sunset, which is his collection of short stories, and then Stephen King, Doctor Sleep, not Doctor Who, unfortunately, but this one is really good. I think this is the sequel to The Shining. I'm not too sure, but it's like a standalone, if you can read it like that. Joe Hill, his son, obviously I put them side by side. And this is great. Like I tried to watch the movie, the one with Daniel Radcliffe, but then like I was watching it with my sister, and then like an intense sex scene came up, and I was like, nope, gonna close it, and I deleted it off my computer, so she didn't know I was like into this kind of stuff. Anyway, yeah, so Orange was really good. Like yes, Egg Parish. Yeah, that's the same, I think. Chekhov Plays. I read this in year 10, 2 years ago for Russian Lit. I had a really good English teacher, by the way. Like, she was cool. Shout out to her if you're reading this. Time Travel for Beginners. I haven't read this. Mary Shelley. Yes. Frankenstein. Like, who doesn't love Frankenstein? Just one of those things that you like. It should be overrated, but it's not. And then Sense and Sensibility. I haven't read Pride and Prejudice, but this one was pretty good, I guess. Phantom of the Opera. Very nice, but like, what can I say that hasn't been said already? Burial Rites. This one was on the English curriculum, but then I ended up choosing Lit. But then I bought it all the same and I read it, and it was really good. Like, I didn't expect it. I thought it would be boring and stuff, but the story is kind of like a slow build and like burns you from inside. Slow molten fire, except that it's set where ice and wind and all that kind of rings. So it's good. Stasi Lan, In Cold Blood, I think that was the course, the English course back in year 10, and it's about like, no, you just read it, Anna Funda. It's really good. The Tall Man, on Palm Island, I think, Chloe Hooper. Yes, so this one was for English as well. It was like, it's a social commentary on indigenous people, like native people living in poverty while everyone else lives in peace and stuff. A Walk in the Woods, this one I've read, Bill Bryson. I think I have a couple more somewhere here. Yeah, those, I haven't read those, but this one is really good. Nature and stuff, but I don't think I read the whole thing, so don't trust me. Hey, Villette, as usual. Bronte. Just can I just, okay, I got that. This, like, it's such a chick flick. Like you have this smart woman who's like, I want to be independent, and then she goes to be a governess for this this small young child, and then her dad's like this. Wait, no, she oh, that's that's the other book. Villette, she learns from a teacher who's kind of like you know he's hot, but everyone thinks he's like ugly and shit. So I mean, stuff beep. Yeah, no, I love Villette. It's just so chick flicky. Like, all Bronte's books are about strong women, but then they have this brooding male character, but that you can't help but like fall in love with his douchey attitude, I guess. Yeah, that's just me talking, I guess. Okay, and then Cujo, we have Cujo. Honestly, this reminds me of the Hounds of Baskervilles, like from the Sherlock thing, and then it's just like, but westernized, I guess. And then the Hamilton case was last year's lit book, Michel de Creutzer, and then it's sort of a crime novel, sort of a racial novel as well. No, it was good. And then The Secret Garden, no wait, Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Yes, correct. All right. What can you say? Just read it. I didn't read these two. I just got so bored. And these are my non-fiction. Woo, are you smart enough to work at Google? No, I couldn't answer anything in this. And then this one is The Turn of the Screw. This is a year 9 English book, and everyone hated it, but I was like, this is interesting. This is a ghost story. I like ghost stories. And the transition to parenthood, I thought I'd get ready, you know, to not be a parent. So I just read this and go like, no. And then IQ testing and assess your IQ. I got like 40. It's fine. Monopoly, and then $1 Million Website. This was really interesting. That was interesting, and that one as well. But like, I only read it once, but then I remember it's just you taking advice on how to build a website, and like, you don't need to do that now, because this video is sponsored by Squarespace! No, it's not really, just, nah, just, yeah, Squarespace. Wow, all those ads. And then the perfect store, this is about eBay, obviously you can see by the type font and like the colors and stuff. And this was really interesting. You should get it. You should get it if you want interesting stuff. Let's skip this one for now. These are all my textbooks. I do have more, but then they're not here at the moment. And then I do have French there. I learned French for like 4.5 years. That little half year in year 8 was me learning colors. So not too sure about that, but yeah, 4 years of French in high school, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And then I'm planning to learn Italian, and then I'm halfway, like I'm starting to learn a bit of Japanese, but then not sure how much I'm gonna get into that. And then these are just old books from my dad's library, I think. Dad's uncles, I think, dads or uncles. And then history, year 9 history. And then these were the books I used to practice for my entrance exam into my current high school, the one I just graduated from, and they were boring. And then you come down here, I have accounting books. That's my dad's, I think that's my dad's. And I have French books as well, those are mine. And then fundamentals of corporate finance and accounting, either mom's or dad's, I forgot, but yeah, they gave it, I guess they lent it to me ish. Yep. And then we have advanced level physics. Those are definitely not my dad's. He's not that type of person, so that's definitely my uncle, I think. Yeah. And then you have a few of my, I love these. Dave McKean, he's the guy who makes all the covers for but New Game in Sandman's, not all the covers, but you know, a lot of them. And then this is like an art compilation book that he drew, I guess he made. So that's that. And then you have Rise of the Guardians art book. I don't know what you call these, but this cost a lot. It was like my 12-year-old birthday present from mom, and it cost like 40 Aussie dollars, I think. And it's just beautiful, the art in this. I'll show you some other time, but yeah, for now just take my word that it's quite beautiful. And then I don't want to show you this part because these are like the rejects. I just didn't want to read them. This could be cool, but not now. And then William Shakespeare, obviously I've read like a couple, but not that many. And then these are my exercises, or the stuff I don't want to see after like 500 years of school. And then this, I used to read this a lot back when I was like before 10 years old. And then it's just a huge encyclopedia of animals, and I used to know all their Latin names, but then I love my memory. Actually I don't have any memory of this. And then this is an encyclopedia of birds, and I used to know all of them as well, and I was like, nah, I don't remember anymore. And then this is Aragon, remember that one over there, some of the and then here is the art book, and I was in love. I used to read this every day for a whole year, and I learned that language, you know, the ancient language that he used to communicate Rissinger's fire, and like some kind of other words or other meanings. And I used to be able to speak a few like sentences, and I had another friend who's a Christopher Paolini fan as well, and we used to speak in ancient language with all of our school, like in front of all of our schoolmates, and like, yeah, they didn't understand us, but then it's good now. I don't see her anymore, but she was like my best friend for a while. So yeah, this reminds me of her. And then moving on to all the books on the floor. Let me just see how much there is left. So that's that, that's that. Oh no, there it is. Artemis Fowl. Alright. Artemis Fowl, Fearless. Right. Okay, let's just go through this systematically. Right. So we have 100 classical stories here. I did not read this. This is just kept on mine because like there was nowhere else to put it. And then fairy dust. Oh, this was really nice. The art in here is just incredible. Can you see this? Let's just move you to a better spot. Right, so the art here, just amazing. Amazing. Like, can you not read this? And then I used to read it quite a bit, but not anymore. I just keep it for the artwork now. And then Own Kofa, another one. Screw it, there's another book in this series, and it's called what's it called? Yeah, I'll find it. I'll find it somewhere. Ah, there. Right. So it's called Plugged, and then these are kind of like together, and they're really nice. Not nice per se. They're just written really well, and like the pacing's pretty good. It's, it really pushes it forward. And Owen Kofa, like he can do Artemis Fowl, and then he can do this, and I'm like, yes please, that's what you want in an author. Okay, the only Assassin's Creed novel I have. Oh my gosh, I used to love this. I was like 13 when I read this, and then my mom was like, no, this is too dark, and I was like, nah, no it really isn't. It's just got a lot of blood and killing. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I love this. Like, oh boy. And then Rover is about yes, a girl and her dog, and they don't get kidnapped. Like, she just works as a servant in another household, and then it's a story about how she gets promoted, and then like she becomes a runner, and then she becomes a runner for the family she was sold into, I think. And then I don't want to spoil it for you, so if this is still in print, please go get it, because this was one of my childhood novels. I read this when I was 9, I think, and then I continued reading it until I was 14. So yeah, this one really was worth it. Yeah, I love it. And then here it is, my other 2 Artemis Fowl books. Fearless. Not many people have heard about this, but I mean, it scarred me a bit. It's about this girl who's like super strong and like has no fear because her dad spliced her gene away or something. I don't remember, but it was really good. There was another book, like I have another book in the series. I'm just not sure where it is. And then we come to Narnia, and who doesn't love Narnia? So Narnia, special book, and C.S. Lewis, special author of mine. I read this when I was 7. This was the first, your first thick book. Yeah, it doesn't matter what, like nowadays, it doesn't matter what size it is, as long as it's a good book. It's a good book. But then this was my first like really thick book, and like first serious book I had, and I read it when I was 7, and I was like, yes, I got sucked into this so much, and I read it like what, 5 to 10 times, I don't know, but way too many. And yeah, just got this as a present, and then I kept it. There we go, Merry Christmas to me. And then this, the queen was, oh, she was super cool. And you have this thing where she just kind of like pops out of the page, because there's like the material's a bit different from the paper surrounding it, and she's a bit more like silky, no, not silky, she's a bit more plastic than this side, so I guess you could read into that a bit more. But yeah, Narnia was, well, the best. Alright, and then you have Neil Gaiman, who I love. Like, I wish I could have his Coraline book, but I haven't found it anywhere yet. And then I watched Coraline, and it gave me nightmares when I was like 8, 9. And then, oh wait, no, let's just talk about this a bit more. Fragile Things was good, but I liked American Gods a bit better. And the Marquis Code or something, Marquis, I don't know, that was good too. And that was, yeah, the Sandman series, I read the whole thing over a course of a year from my from the library, I think. And then I fell in love with Dream. So there we go. Alright, and then John Irving, that was also one of my, this is also one of my favorites, because like, it's very cleverly written. I think this is the only book I own from, like, written by John Irving, but it's one that my English teacher also recommended to me, and I followed it, and I was not disappointed. This was quite intelligent. And then, where's Artemis Fowl? Right, okay. And then I did not read this. I tried to read this, but I haven't finished it yet. And then we have John Green's novels. I think there's one more here. Here we go. So I did read Fault in Our Stars when I was doing my grade 6 theory exam, and then my teacher had it in her basket, so I was like, yes miss, can I please take this to read? And then I did, and then I loved it, and then I bought a copy, and then it's on my shelf now. So this particular book is not read yet, but I've read the book somewhere else. And then Paper Towns, this was really good, but then a bit depressing. So I spent like a day and a days because of that. Youngblood, haven't read. Fiasco, haven't read. Same guy that wrote some other book up there, that thick book up there. That one. That one. Right. Anyway. And then To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee, I read this twice. I still don't fully get it, but racism, something like that. And then Stephen Donaldson, I haven't read this one yet, but I have read these two. And this is, I don't know how to categorize it. It's one of those old old series, you know, and then they spend a lot of time in world building and like, very sci-fi. It wasn't sci-fi, it was like Lord of the Rings style. This is pretty good Lord of the Rings style Lord of the Rings. So I do have The Hobbit, but honestly I rate this over The Hobbit. It's about this guy who's just normal, walking around doing his everyday life, and he gets sucked into this world where he doesn't want to be their savior, but he has to be because that's apparently his destiny. Yeah. So it's a bit too conventional for me now, but I liked it when I read it back in 2015 or 2016. This was really good. Alright, okay, time to read this one. And then let's move on to these. Oh, look at that kid. Alright, Charlotte Bronte Villette, same thing, I told you about it. I don't know what to say, but it's good. And then The Secret Garden, this was quite sweet, like a bit scary at times, but I'm sure it's not a horror novel. Read this once. This one didn't finish, wasn't interested. This one is the Stephen Donaldson one. That's the same one as those other three books. Alright, yeah. And Les Miserables, and I haven't read this, but I am planning to. I was gonna read it this holiday, but looking at how many books I haven't actually read, I'm just gonna put this to one side and maybe save it for a long trip somewhere else. Ink Death, never read this, wanted to read it, never actually read it. Watched the movie though, Ink Heart, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the movie was amazing, so I wanted to read this, but then I haven't gotten around to doing that yet. And then John Grisham, I've read The Partner but not The Chamber, so this one's gonna go like somewhere, I guess. Dean Koontz, I've heard good reviews about this, but I bought this like 4 or 5 years back and I haven't gotten around to reading it, so that's a shame. And then Land of the Painted Caves, I mean, it was, I thought it was really good, and then I just opened about it. I opened this up and I opened to a page where she was describing the, like, some cringy pleasures. It feels like what do you call that, the chocolate star in 50 Shades of Grey, so I just closed it and then I never looked at it again. So anyway, that's sort of goes those on those two shelves, but then in front of the books that are already there. And now we're gonna move on to this shelf, which is my favorite shelf because it's the shelf of stuff I haven't read yet. So yeah, this shelf still contains all the books I haven't read, and I haven't, these are the classics, Robinson Crusoe, Voyage of Sinbad, Little Women, and Great Expectations. Those are the ones I'm planning on reading in the next year or so. These are the Chinese books. I haven't read those. I've read this one though, I just want to reread again. And then these are just manga, I guess. I usually read manga online, but then this one looked way too cool to pass up in the bookstore. And then I have The Little Prince here, which was a birthday present. I haven't read it yet. Vampire Hunter D. There's a lot of vampire hunters in manga and anime, and this is just a light novel translated in English. And this is the original Tales from 1001 Nights, and then it contains like literally everything, and literally everything. And then it has gold. I don't think you can see the gold. It looks brown to you, but to me it's really gold, and there's like shiny flecks. Here, Stephen King Danse Macabre, I think. And yeah, it's just writing advice, I guess, on writing horror stories. And then this is popular music, non-fic, the Noodle Road, just culinary stuff. And then Bill Bryson, I want to read that. And then I want to read this as well, the Iliad. I've started, gave up halfway. I'm gonna try again. And Time Machine. This one I read Time Machine, but not War of the Worlds. War of the Worlds is really good though, so if you don't know what it's about, please go research it up and like research it and try to get a copy of it. And then Thomas Harris, Animal Rising. I read this when I was 11, I think, and then I never read it again, so I want to read it again. And then Historian, this looks interesting, haven't read it. English teacher lent it to me. I haven't given it back to him, but I will once I've read it. From Music, Emma Donoghue, same woman who wrote Room. This one's Oliver Twist. This one's Tale of Two Cities. I've read this once, want to reread it again. Odd Brain. I just picked this up because it looks cool. Look at that. Cartoon. Hamlet by John Marston. The same person who wrote Something Ends Tomorrow. The War Ends Tomorrow or something. He's an Australian writer and I do respect him a lot. This is the biographer's tale, and I've tried reading this, but I didn't get through anything, so I'm gonna try again. Coral Thief, gonna try again. Elvis Has Left the Building. This is I think it was a Christmas present from 2 years ago, and I haven't read it yet. And then this is Jane Austen. So I do want to read this, and I want to read that. Steve Jobs, and then Language Wars. Bought this like 6 years back. Haven't read it. Want to read it. Definitely want to read it. This looks very interesting. This one, just like history of proper English and stuff. So I get to make fun of that. And then we're gonna move on to my favorite books, like all these. Right. Let me get them out. So yeah, I have decided to tease you with this. So I'm not gonna do my favorite books until next week or maybe the week after, because this video has been way too long. I'm not gonna do a full review per se, but just like reviewing everything and seeing like what sort of things make me tick, and maybe what you could take away from these books as well. So this has been the Ink Matrix. I've had a lot of fun like deconstructing my library and showing it to you guys. So if you do enjoy it, please tap the subscribe button, and I will see you next week with a video on Venom, I think. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. See you later.